Welcome to the Rustic Garden. This is part 7 of a 9 or 10 part series on growing peppers and tomatoes from start to finish. Today's March 15th. We've had really 15 days of rain, pretty much non-stop. And what I want to show you today is how to plant indeterminate tomatoes. I'm going to wait really a week from this part of the video right now to plant because I want the sun to come, and we actually have a chance of frost tomorrow, so I don't want to mess around with that. But I want to show you why you want to mulch and why you want to remove leaves from down here. And the reason is pretty simple. The mulching, see all the soil under there? The mulching stops soil splash from happening. If you don't mulch and you have any kind of disease spores in here, it's going to splash them up onto your leaves and the diseases will take hold. Aside from having a lot of rain, the dirt on the undersides of the leaves also do damage the leaves, and they're going to yellow out. So we're going to mulch here. That will control weeds. You can see all the weeds coming up, and it will be a disease splash barrier. And then we're going to remove the leaves slowly from the bottom, and as this grows taller, we'll remove a few more, but we're taking maybe 1/5 of the leaves from the bottom, and that's going to create a nice gap over time as this tomato grows, so that disease is less likely to splash up. Now this is a determinate variety, so we're not going to prune it that much, but when I get the indeterminate varieties in, the ones that will grow all season long, we do a lot more pruning on those. But this will help you understand the basic principle, and I want to clean these up. Here's a silvery fir in there. You can see all the dirt on the stem. With all the rain that's been coming, these plants are a little bit stunted, getting a little bit purpley, so they're going to get a liquid feed. If I pan over to here, there's a silvery fir in a container, and look how much larger it is. Now that did get into the bucket about a week before these, but that's a significant growth difference, and most of that is really due, that bucket's draining a lot better than the soil down here, and there isn't that much splash up on the leaves. So I'll clean these up, show you what that looks like, and I'm also going to show you the damage that's happening to my peppers on the other side and how I took care of the slug damage. I just pruned the lower leaves of the tomatoes and put the mulch down, and then I sprayed them with the soft shower and just got all the dirt off from the undersides of the leaves and on top of the leaves. You just don't want that soil and that dirt splashing up onto your tomato plant. And you can see how much better it looks. Soil splash is kind of like the dirt that's on that container, is it will just splash up and it will stick to your tomato leaves and your vegetable plant leaves, and it can damage them. So a little bit of mulching, a little bit of pruning, and this whole section looks a whole lot better. I'm going to put down some iron phosphate to take care of the snails and slugs that are coming through here. And again, this is what it looked like. The bottom leaves yellowed out. They have holes in there, maybe from some diseases, maybe from some slugs or snails. The underside of the leaves all had the dirt on it, but I took care of that now. So it looks a lot better. So I'm going to actually finish this video a week from now, put in the indeterminate tomatoes. I'm going to feed these, and you're going to see how much different they look. Pests continue. Even knowing that I get snails and slugs, with this rain that we've been having, I've just not been coming out, keeping a close eye on them. So you can see all the little specks on the soil surface. That's iron phosphate. That's going to take care of this problem. All the holes that are in these leaves are from snails and slugs. And it gets worse. As I come up here, this one's totally devastated, and they're all just being chewed down. They're going to recover perfectly fine. At this size too, you see that little flower? I'm going to remove that. I want a lot of the energy going into root growth and leaf growth right now. I also have another problem cropping up. Those are ants, or there's some sort of digging bee. I haven't seen what they are yet. I think it might be some sort of bee, because when you look at the hole right in there, that is not an ant hole. So something's going on. Anyway, I'll take care of this and I'll show you how they look about a week from now. So I'm going to plant 4 tomatoes into this space. This is about a 4x4 plot, and you want to space your indeterminate tomatoes 2 to 3 feet apart. I like to keep it about that space. Is one, they grow well in the raised beds, and 2, it's enough space to let air circulate through the plants, and that's really important to help manage diseases. A lot of people ask me, why do you start tomatoes in cups? Why do you start them indoors? 1, I enjoy doing it and it gives me a project. But 2, here's the perfect example. This is my radish bed, and it's been growing here. They're cool weather crops. While the radishes are growing, My tomatoes are growing into cups, and right about this point, here's an example. This radish is starting to form a seed head, and when radishes start doing that, they become woody. You can't really eat them. They don't taste good. So I'm going to pull all of these out now and then plant in 4 tomatoes into these corners. I'm going to be planting the Todd County Amish, this Brandywine Red, Indigo Apple, and a Homestead. And in the holes, you've seen videos already. I'm not going to do another one on it. I'm going to just speed through this really quickly. But I'm going to prepare it with about, let's let that truck go by, 2 tablespoons of organic fertilizer, literally a handful of organic lime thrown in there to help provide calcium. And then I'm going to be feeding these plants, this is going to be my organically prepared area, with Job's Organics, and this is a low fertilizer, low NPK. It's a 5, 2, and 3. And you've heard me talk about using chemical fertilizers before, like Miracle Grow, where I say use half as much or a third as much. That's because those numbers are way up there. But this is used straight as prescribed, as directed, 1 tablespoon per gallon, and I'll do this about every 10 to 14 days. So I'm going to clear this out, put it into 4 plants. Oh, and one more thing. I'm going to throw in a shovelful of peat moss. You could use cocoa coir, you could use compost, but something just to add organic matter to my soil. So this is the start really for my indeterminate tomatoes. I've been putting them in different parts of the garden. But a couple principles. Mulching creates a splash barrier so disease spores don't splash up on the tomato. As they grow up, I'm going to remove some of the bottom leaves. I'm also going to do a little bit in this video, the next part, to show you some sprays you can use on your tomatoes. And then after that, it's going to be about, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks before the next video comes out, because these really have to get bigger so I can start showing you some new things to do. So to wrap up this video, I want to talk about preventive sprayings. I know that in my area I get early blight on tomatoes come late June, July, and one way to really deal with diseases is to start spraying before they show up and make it difficult for the diseases to take hold. That's why we talked about mulching, which definitely keeps moisture in the ground, but it creates that splash barrier to keep spores from coming up on your plants, and also beginning to bottom prune your tomatoes to make it more difficult for spores to get onto the leaves, and usually diseases work from the bottom of the plant and go upward. These are the tomatoes that I showed you about 12 days ago. They're doing really, really well now. Even right in there you can see a tomato starting to form. So the tomatoes are forming. Things are going well. I'll be doing more pruning. I'll be doing more mulching, but I wanted to show you 2 sprays that I use. And again, I want to stress that if you're using a spray for a first time, even if you get it from me, any other trusted source, find it online in a book, test spray. Make the spray, spray a couple of leaves, wait 48 hours, see if there's any damage. A spray that I use to control fungus early blight is a baking soda spray. It changes the pH level on the tomato leaf and it makes the fungus or disease or the spores have a more difficult time taking hold. So I use 1 tablespoon, just plain old baking soda, in a gallon of water, and I put it into a spray pump. Sometimes I'll use 2 tablespoons, but always start with 1, see how it works, see how it goes in your gardening. And this spray again is to make it more difficult for early blight in my area to take hold. I also have a lot of videos, keyword search aspirin, on using it in your sprays. Aspirin has salicylic acid. It's a phytohormone, which really means is the aspirin mimics a hormone that's already flowing through the tomato plant, and it is a hormone that triggers the SAR response, which is systemic acquired resistance, which all that means is that if that hormone begins to show up in the tomato, it's usually because the tomato is being attacked by a pest or a disease. But naturally, in the tomato, it only starts to happen when the disease or pests show up. By using the aspirin, you're mimicking the hormone that's already there, and you're tricking the plant into thinking it's being attacked by a fungus or a disease or an insect. And it actually toughens up. The leaves get a little thicker. There's tons of research on it, so I recommend you really look up tomato and aspirin online, and you'll see all the research. It only works for tomato plants, unfortunately. But it really, really works, and I use it every year. How often do you use the aspirin? About every 2 weeks. Just spray it on your leaves. You don't need a lot. How often do I use the preventive baking soda spray? Every 10 to 14 days. It depends on rain. So in my container, I have 1 tablespoon of baking soda in a gallon of water and 1 aspirin. These are 325 milligram aspirins. They're not coated. You don't want the coated ones because the coating will clog up your sprayer. Just plain old aspirin, 325 milligrams. All I'm going to do is walk around my tomatoes. There's another one as I got distracted. Let's see if that browning... Nope, that's just the flower. I thought maybe we had blossom end rot going. Thank goodness not. So all you do is soak all the leaves down, top side, underside if you can get to them. The aspirin will do its thing and start the SAR response. The baking soda will sit on the leaves, make it more difficult for the diseases to take hold, and you're good to go. This again is a preventive spraying, and always test spray. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please check out my blog at www.therustedgarden.blogspot.com, and also check out my YouTube videos. Thanks.